DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This message is specifically, it's for, it could be for everybody, but it's specifically for the young men out there and older men as well, depending on your mindset, where you're at, is that the aggression era is over. It's actually been over for a while, but I'm just now got to really thinking about it because most of you probably know, if you follow hip-hop, you saw that Takeoff from Migos got shot the other day and killed over, from what I heard, and there's been multiple different stories told, so who knows what really happened. They were saying that it was a dice game and people got aggressive over the dice game, and then shots rang out, but it might have been something other than that. The bottom line is there was some aggression exchange between men, and somebody pulled out a gun and shots got fired and people got shot. The thing is, the era that I come from, now I'm 40 years of age, so those of you who are around this age group, let's say if you're 35 to 45, from our era, you know how it was. It don't even matter where you grew up. I grew up in Philadelphia, but no matter where you grew up, you know how it was, that if two males had an issue, even if we was kids on the playground, or men, maybe not at work, but just in the streets in the neighborhood, there was an issue. It was like, all right, when I see that dude or that dude sees me, we gonna handle our issues hand to hand. We gonna handle a hand-to-hand combat. We gonna fight. What was it that you said? I heard you said this was going on, that going on. We handle things physically with our hands. And then slowly, it started to morph into, some people start handling things with guns, but usually that was something people did if they couldn't beat you physically, then they would take it to the gun. They wouldn't go straight to the gun. We wouldn't skip to the gun. And also, if there was a conflict between you and another person and they wanted a physical confrontation with you and you didn't want it, you were looked at as a pussy. You were a bitch. You couldn't come outside. You couldn't come to the playground anymore. You couldn't come around anymore. And the dudes who hung with you they wouldn't respect you anymore because somebody wanted a conflict with you and you backed away from that conflict, especially if you played a role in creating it. Now, if somebody just started with you for no reason, that's different, because not everybody was kind of with that shit. If you weren't with the shit, then people didn't bother you. Now, somebody's just bothering you for no reason, that's different. But if you played a part in it, like you were talking shit, and then somebody wanted a confrontation and then you back down, you weren't respected. That was what it was. But nowadays, now you got these two extremes, and this is basically kind of how all of society is going. Now you got these extremes, you have nobody in the middle. So the extremes now are, you got the people who will, when there's a conflict, they'll just go straight to pulling out a gun and shooting each other. A lot of these guys who pull out guns can't fight. That's why they pull out guns, because they can't physically fight. They never even learn how to. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you got the dudes who will talk shit, and then when a confrontation gets brought to them by somebody who might be thinking like old school rules, like, all right, I'm gonna just put my hands on this dude for talking to me. I'm not gonna shoot him, but I might punch him in his mouth, or just get in his face to let him know, like, yo, watch your mouth. Then on the other end of the extreme, you got these guys who, when that happens, they're calling cops or calling security because they're scared. They're scared of any kind of altercation, but they'll talk shit. And the reason why that has been exacerbated because we got social media. Now people can just talk crazy on social media, but then can hide behind their social media when some real life shit happens, act like it's just a joke. So now you have nobody in the middle. The middle used to be just males having physical altercations. Now that doesn't really happen that much anymore. I don't remember the last time I saw two males have a physical altercation, except on World Star or some random shit that was on YouTube. I don't know where that stuff happens at. It don't happen nowhere around where I'm at. Nowadays, you got either somebody getting shot or somebody calling cops/security. Those are the extremes. The people who scared of everything and people immediately pull out a gun for everything. There's no in between. So the aggressive era, the era that I'm referring to, and the era that I grew up in, was the era where if males had a conflict, we just solved it directly, face to face. If we couldn't solve it verbally, we solved it physically. But there was people wouldn't go to the guns. Maybe there were some people who would do that. I was not. Me and the people I was around didn't do that. But there were people who would. But that was only if they lost the physical altercation. Like, the physical altercation option was always open. So the physical altercation was the first option. If you couldn't win by that, then you took it to the next level. But you didn't go straight there. And there was nobody, the neighborhood that I come from, you couldn't be in the neighborhood and come around and come outside if you were scared of a physical altercation. You ain't had to be Tyson Floyd Mayweather in terms of fighting, but you couldn't be scared. Now you might even lose, but you couldn't be scared. You couldn't avoid it. You couldn't run. You had to deal with it. But nowadays we don't have that anymore. Now a lot of these dudes are so I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of theories actually. I have a lot of theories. A lot of these dudes so these days is just pussy, and that they have no desire for any type of physical altercation, but will talk as if they want one. Then when something happens, the first thing they just pick up their phone, call the cops, call security, run away from the situation, etc. Where I think that comes from, well, social media, first of all, allows people to let their aggression out through a phone, whereas in our era, you couldn't let your aggression out through a phone because there was no mechanism to do that. Secondly, I think there's a lot of young men being raised by single women, so there's a lot of men who just don't even know what masculine energy looks like because they don't see it. All they are around is feminine energy. They're around women all the time, so they don't even know what being masculine is like. That's part of it. And what's another reason? Another reason is just that, I mean, eras change. I'm not even saying that this is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it might be a good thing that people aren't into physical altercations anymore. Another reason is just this era is different. Usually each era, there are going to be some things that are exact opposite of the previous era, just because the new era pushes back against the old era. So the next wave of people that comes up, like let's say people my son's age, my son is basically a newborn, people in his era, they might go back to physical altercations again. So each era things change, but all you men out there who come from this era and you grew up under this code, that if there's an issue between two men, we just solved it with our hands if we needed to. If we couldn't solve it by words, that era is completely over. Nowadays, it's just all either dudes completely scared or somebody getting shot. So, what I would suggest all you do, here's your call to action. Sharpen up your communication skills. Sharpen up your communication skills, your verbal communication skills, not your physical communication, your verbal communication skills, because this is how you're gonna have to solve things these days. And when you come across some of these dudes who use these 5-letter words to describe them, and you know that they don't have that mentality, give them space. Just give them space. You got to give them space because that's the only thing you can do. You can't get in their faces. You can't approach them. You can't put your hands on them because they're going to call the cops on you or call security on you or wherever you happen to be at. And they don't even want it, but they'll talk crazy. So this is just the new normal that we had to deal with. I don't know if I'm the only one who notices this, but y'all let me know if y'all see something similar. You tell me if you think maybe it's a different era, maybe I'm just not noticing it. Maybe I'm just not in the environments where something other than what I'm noticing is happening. Maybe y'all see something that I don't. Y'all let me know in the comment section. And if you agree, but maybe you got a different view on why this is happening or where it came from, y'all let me know that as well. So text me to get my daily motivation straight to your phone every day. My number is 305-384-6894. My next live event, Work on Your Game Live. There will be no physical altercations there. That'll be taking place in Miami, February 3rd and 4th, 2023, down here in Miami. Get your ticket to that by going to workonyourgame.live. The link is down below in the description. Everybody work on your game. Dre all day.